Hello, Year 12 Sociology. I hope you are all okay. Today we're going to be looking at paper 3. So this is going to be the first lesson of paper 3. So it's going to be brand new content. Hopefully all of you have this textbook now. I did say 2 weeks before we broke up in all of the communication on the Google Classroom to make sure that you've got a copy of this book. So it's the purple one with number 2 on it to say it's the second year course. If you do not have access to one of these textbooks, please just pop me an email. I've got loads in my classroom cupboard and I can ask someone to grab one, put it behind reception for you, and you can come pick it up when it is safe to do so when you can. Okay, but it's really important that you have this textbook. So let's crack on with the first lesson. I'm going to share my screen. Lovely. So guys, this is welcome to the final component, your final paper, debates in contemporary society. So we're going to crack on with today looking at our learning objectives. So we're going to understand what is required for success in this component, first of all, for the first half, and then we're going to go straight into the first lesson. So let's have a look at the spec to see what you will be learning in this component, and also why it's important, because this is sociology, this is a study of society, and I love this paper because it is so relevant and it is so current. So, like papers 1 and 2, paper 3, the second year paper, is split into section A and in section B. So section A is called Globalisation in the Digital Social World. So here is the first key question here. I've got my little arrow here so you can see it. Number 1, what is the relationship between globalisation and digital forms of communication? So we're really looking at technology here. So we're looking at the digital revolution, global village, and network global society, media convergence, social media, virtual communities and digital social networks. Learners should, this is what you should be doing when we are looking at things like this. You need to be aware of problems of defining globalisation, which is what we're going to be looking at today, and consider how developments in digital communication are related to social capital. We're then going to be looking at the sociological theories. Not to worry, guys, we're only doing 3, which is Marxism, feminism, and postmodernism. So remember, this is what you can be asked a question on by OCR. And that's why, obviously, we're going to be focusing on what's on here. Now, keeping with section A, the second key question is, what is the impact of digital forms of communication in a global context? So you're going to be looking at people's identity. So how does using your iPhone or whatever phone you've got impact your identity? How does it create inequalities, and how does it impact our relationships? Really, really interesting studies on here. There's something called Twitter-related conflict, and someone did a study to find out the amount of marriages that have led to divorce due to people's usage of Twitter. So these are all brand new things that 50 years ago, this was never a problem. We'll be then looking at in relation with social class, gender and age, and looking at positive and negative impacts. Then the last part of section A, guys, is the impact on conflict and change with regards to kind of conflict within culture. We'll be looking at cultural homogenization, so that's when cultures become the same. Cultural defense, which is to do with because of digital forms of communication, instead of making everybody being together as one, people are kind of separated. I do apologise, guys, you can hear a lot of traffic. I'm having to record this today from my fiance's office because I'll just wait there. Because the internet is really, really weird at my place at the moment, so I do apologise. I'm not getting it in my little office that I've created, so now having to do it at the front of where we live, which is on the main road. Apologies. Okay, and then section B is about crime and deviance. Well, I say it's about crime and deviance. You do have options with section B. First option is crime and deviance. The second option is, I think, education. And then the last option is religion. Now, I always teach crime and deviance, but depending on what your teacher wants to do next year, it's up to them. So they might want to teach education, or they might want to teach religion, belief and faith. But I just wanted to make you aware, if you were going to do this, these are the types of things you'll be looking at for crime and deviance, and also this part as well. Okay, so why have the curriculum board decided to focus on globalisation and digital forms of communication? And it is basically because our world has changed. I mean, I don't need really to go into much detail, do I? You know, the fact that 50 years ago we would have to wait a very long time to talk to one another. However, nowadays, you know, I'm talking to you right now. You know, the fact that we're using digital media in this pandemic, in this lockdown, you know, it's just crazy. Imagine this happening 100 years ago. Do you think that you'd be able to have me still teaching you, you know, from the comfort of your home if we all had to go lockdown 100 years ago? No way. You know, you'd be sat there with a textbook, a piece of paper and a pen, scribbling away, yeah, without any interaction with me whatsoever. So because of that, things have really, really changed. I mean, if we think about mental health, for example, mental health was never really a big thing, but I think because of, you know, the spread of the message around the importance of maintaining a healthy lifestyle, not just physically but mentally, due to the internet, you know, it's really, really been a big push. Some people argue positive, some people argue negative, and that's where you're going to have your critical debate around these kind of topics in your exam paper. Okay, so yeah, our world has changed. Now, I made this PowerPoint a couple of years ago, and I used statistics from 2016 from the Global Digital Snapshot. This is a really, really good research hub. It's called We Are Social. And if you look, guys, in 2016, 7.395 billion people, the total world population, and of which of that we had 54% were urban. Okay, now out of this 7.395, 3.419 billion are internet users, 2.307 billion are active social media users. We then have unique mobile users at 3.790, and then active mobile social users at 1.968. Now, if you want to look more into this, guys, as to what, you know, different things mean, please do so, but I don't have enough time to do that today. I just want to now compare it to now, January 2020. So population has gone up, and so has our mobile phone connection use, internet users, and active social media users. You know, so if we quickly flick between mobile phone connections, in 2016, mobile phone users was about 3.799, about 4 billion. We're now nearly at 8 billion. That is crazy. You know, and internet users as well. Now, I've actually, for January 2020, I've now looked at the UK. Whoa, we've got a load. So yeah, and so total population of the UK, 67.71 million we have here. Now, active, so mobile phone users is 72.41. You're going to think, well, why can that be? You know, we don't have more phones than we do people. Well, we actually do in this country. Many people have not just one mobile phone for their personal use, but may have two. You know, one for their business and one for their personal use. So yeah, that's just, yeah. So if we're studying society, which we are because we are sociologists, this is huge for society and how we connect, how we build relationships, how we form our own identity, how we see ourselves within society, how we fit within society. So we really do need to, as sociologists, which you all are, you are taking this course, we need to get an understanding of. So the digital social world and sociology, in this exam, you know, we're going to be understanding the different aspects of the social world, and then looking at what Marxists think of it, what feminists think of it, what postmodernists think of it. Now we're going to be exploring these social theories. We're going to begin, I think, at the end of this week, going into next week. But for Monday and tomorrow's double lesson, we are going to be really understanding these concepts and how our world, how the UK has changed because of digital media. Now let's have a quick look at the exam paper so you know what you're dealing with. So in this exam paper, guys, paper 3, time allowed is 2 hours and 15 minutes. This is your longest exam paper because you're now doing the A-level course. You must answer everything in section A, so just like paper 1, and then section B you choose between crime, education or religion. But as I said, your teacher next year will go into detail with you when they begin to teach that part of the course. Total mark for this paper is 105 marks. Here's some examples of the exam question. So you'll get 2 unseen sources with 3 questions for section A. So question 1, it will be with reference to the source, explain. I've spent 10 minutes on that. It's worth 9 marks, 5 for your subject knowledge, 4 for your application. Question 2 is a source question again, to what extent? Now, question 1, question 2. Question 1 just wants loads of explanation, subject knowledge. Question 2, to what extent, means it's an evaluation. It means that they want you to have a debate. So already, you know, you're kind of, we haven't got those lower mark pure subject knowledge questions, have we? It's going straight into, you need to have the knowledge already underpinned to then explain something very well and have a debate with it. Okay, now question 3 is evaluate, assess or analyse. So again, it's going to be critical thinking, having a debate, and that is worth 16 marks. So 20 minutes I'd spend on that. So total time, guys, for section A is going to be 45. It's 45 marks. I'll spend about 135 minutes on this section here. Oh, sorry, no, 45 minutes out of the 135 minutes that you have. That's what I meant by that. Now, section B is going to be your most challenging exam questions you have ever had. Now, this is going to be your option part, so I wouldn't worry about it now. Being, you know, until the end of summer, you know, you'll be tackling this section when you get back into year 13. But just so that you are aware, you have got 3 questions. Question 4, in what ways is, worth 10 marks, really easy, you know, studies. Question 5, to what extent, again, you're going to be having your debate. And question 6 is worth 40 marks, 40. Now, I spent a whole hour writing this essay, guys. So it's going to be outline and evaluate a theory. So it'll be Marxism or feminism, postmodernism. You're going to be looking at new criminology stuff if you are going to do crime as well. Okay, guys, so let's crack on with today's lesson. We've just done a course overview, so you know exactly what you need to be doing for this paper. Now, guys, remember, this is sociology. It's heavy on the content. So even though, you know, I go through this with you, you then need to go through it with yourself at home, you know, 1 hour in lesson and then 1 hour at least outside of the lesson. You know, you don't want to get fallen behind. I know that year 11 transition into year 12 was quite difficult for some of you. So make sure you get the ball rolling with this and, you know, attack it full on. You know, get your revision notes ready. So lesson 1 is the problem of defining globalisation. Now, I've got 4 challenges for you. You can choose which one you would like to do. So challenge 1 is to watch this video to continue. And then complete the activities after the questions. Challenge 2 is to now shut me off and just crack on with the textbook, complete all the activities in the textbook and complete exam questions. Challenge 3 is to shut me off and now you just go through the PowerPoint on your own. Or challenge 4 is a combination of all of these different challenges, which I do recommend. You're all different learners, and that's why I've kind of tried to give you lots of different ways of learning this new content. And remember, guys, if you're stuck on anything, email me. I am right here to help you. So today we're going to be doing two key things. You need to consider various definitions of globalisation and then consider the challenges involved with defining the concept. Now these are two quite broad things that you need to do. So I've created a success criteria to help you to achieve those two kind of learning objectives. So you need to be able to give definitions of globalisation. You need to know what a global village is, and you need to explain a range of reasons why defining globalisation can be problematic. Of course, green, you're feeling good. Amber, kind of getting there, but I need to go over it a few more times. And red is, no, you're talking Arabic or French or a language that I don't understand, got a clue what you're saying this. Now, if you ever feel that you are red, you need to get on your emails and email me and I can help you. Okay, guys, so intro to globalisation. And if you have got your textbook, guys, open it up, go to page 1, and this is where we're going to be working from today. Page 1, 2, 3, 4. Do not go past this part here. It's just 1 to 4. So we are looking at this and this. So we're looking at this 1.1. What is the relationship between globalisation and digital forms of communication? So, intro to globalisation. So really, globalisation began, guys, 1.8 million years ago when humans began moving out of Africa. 1.8 million years ago. So, of course, this is where we believe that our human species first originated. We first evolved in Africa, and then from then, you know, we travelled, we walked, we built little boats, we sailed, and populated the earth over 1.8 million years. Now, the internet, which is what we're looking at, was only created in 1983. Now, of course, I said, you know, nearly for 2 million years, we have been on a process of spreading ourselves around the globe. However, it was only in the last 40 years, 1983, that we've really seen the most biggest impact of the human species of the world, and it's due to the internet. So because of the internet, we've seen people who previously were uncontactable becoming now part of a wider world, a wider society. And we've got 3 key consequences. 1, national boundaries are now less significant. So we are now becoming geographically mobile. I've been watching Race Across the World. I love that programme. Ben Fogel's Off the Grid documentary, love that. So, you know, because of television being a form of digital communication, I can now transport myself all over the world. I love it. Number 2, we've now got a global economy. So no longer are we kind of just doing, you know, transactional processes of buying bread and milk with Roger who lives down the road. Instead, I'm going on my mobile phone, I'm going on to Xi'an app. You know, they're based in China, and I'm ordering loads of clothes from there, and it's getting shipped over to me now. You know, that's huge. That's a massive, massive difference. And number 3, some communities, unfortunately, are still excluded and marginalised and therefore are suffering inequalities. Now, this might be because they do not have, you know, the internet connections that we have. Oh, God, all the uproar about 5G. Yeah, I don't know if you've been reading anything about 5G. Lots of conspiracy theories going around that 5G has caused COVID-19 and all sorts. Of course, this is conspiracy theories. There hasn't really been any solid scientific research into all of this. But, you know, if we're getting 5G installed in certain parts of the world, and then you have other parts of the world who do not have access to clean water, we've got a huge problem here between rich and poor. You know, huge, huge issue here. This is all, you know, to do with globalisation. So let's look at the definition of globalisation. Oh, no, we're not doing that yet. Actually, I'm going to skip on. Let's talk about the definition, and then we'll do this activity that I've skipped by. So we've got various definitions. You need to know all of these to get an A grade. Okay, so if you get a big essay question on globalisation, you'll be expected to define it, especially get an evaluation question around And, what are the different definitions of globalisation? Okay, so we've got Wiseman. Wiseman, 1998, warns us that the term can be misused and misunderstood, therefore needs careful consideration when being used and defined. So even though we haven't really unpicked what globalisation means yet, Wiseman is very wise, and he's saying we need to be very cautious around it. Now, the next three, I want you to be thinking about why do we need to be cautious. Read what they're saying. So, Coach Rain Payne says that globalisation is the emergence of a global economic and cultural system which is incorporating the people of the world into a single global society. Okay, so they're saying it's the economy, so money, wealth, and our culture coming together for one. Is he missing anything out there, Coach Rain Payne? Let's look at Cohen and Kennedy. They say that globalisation is a series of transformations of the world, including changes in the concepts of time and space, interdependent cultural interactions, and increasingly shared problems. Now, what's the difference between Cochrane and Payne and Cohen and Kennedy? What are the differences between them? Well, for one, Cohen and Kennedy are going more in depth about the different changes that we have, because they're looking at how we are becoming interdependent through our interactions online, and then we are sharing our issues. Now, of course, we need to talk about George Floyd, who tragically died in America at the moment. I've actually done a little piece on him in a couple of slides to come. That is America's problem, yet the whole world is coming together, in outrage from these police officers. How dare you kill this innocent man? And even if he wasn't innocent, you don't do that. You don't kneel on someone's neck in the street. But we're in the UK, before we'd never know these problems in America. So they're going, Cohen and Kennedy are kind of delving a little bit more deeper, aren't they, compared to Cochrane and Payne. Now let's look at Giddens. Giddens says that globalisation is the intensification of worldwide social relations which link distant localities in such a way that local happenings are shaped by events occurring many miles away and vice versa. So think about Giddens. What has he included more of? What has he missed out? So for me, I think Giddens is missing the whole kind of economy, the transnational corporation essence of globalisation. So already, guys, I think we can understand why this could be an evaluation question. We don't know what globalisation is, really. It's still quite new. Even though it kind of began in 1983 with the internet, it's still quite a new thing that we're trying to still understand. Now, and if we look at the 2 million year journey of humankind that we've had already, we're just dipping our toes into this new postmodern world, characterised by the digital age. So these are different perspectives, and as I said, you need to know them. So we need to look at this. I can define the term globalisation. Bit of a oxymoron, that really, because you can't, can you? You can't really define globalisation. We don't know what it is. Instead, you've got the studies to underpin this kind of exploration of globalisation. Yeah? Okay, so let's look more into what globalisation may mean. And I'm now going to just jump from my PowerPoint here, because the way I'm teaching it isn't really how I thought I had planned it, so I do apologise. Okay, so what I want you to now do, guys, on the activity, on the actual assignment page, I've included a transcript. I'd like you to read that transcript. And I want you to take parts of it, add to your own definition of globalisation. You might want to do a mind map. Now you've got the different four theorists already. Then you might want to add some more detail from reading this transcript. And I want you then to identify benefits and problems of globalisation. So yeah, what are the good stuff that's coming out of it, and then what is the bad stuff coming out of it? So press pause and crack on. Okay, so now you're ready to go through the answers or some feedback. So I've got here, first of all, it's the compression of time and distance. Now, really, that's talking about the fact that I can pick up the phone. Do you remember Miss Diamond? She was the business teacher. I was chatting to her the other day. She's in Abu Dhabi, teaching in Abu Dhabi. We were chatting because of course, my mobile phone. So time and distance it's irrelevant now, absolutely irrelevant. The fact is this isn't really new. There's a range of complex positive and negative effects. So I've colour coded the green into positive and the red into negative. So positive, greater geographical mobility, so migration, we can explore the world. Increase in multiculturalism, so we're learning from others. Now, this one I said could be seen as negative or positive. To be fair, the first two could be seen as negative and positive as well. And this is where you have your critical thinking, you have your debate. Increasing and decreasing importance of national boundaries, the spread of different values and ideas leading to increased conflict or decreased conflict. You know, it's either, oh, I'm learning about people different than me. I don't like it. I feel uncomfortable. Boom, boom, block, racism, prejudice, discrimination. Or it's, oh, I'm learning about this. I'm finding this interesting, and therefore you're going to decrease the conflict because you're having kind of like a shared understanding of that person. Economic and power inequalities, which I've already described to you about lower, less developed countries, poorer countries. And then you've got the increase in role of technology in our lives. And again, that's positive and negative as well. And there's so much online that you can read about this, guys. If you're interested, have a research. Loads of stuff on YouTube as well. Okay, so with that, I now would like you to turn to page 2, and we are going to be looking at this case study. Okay, uncontacted tribes activity. So what I want you to do is read the purple box and then answer the 2 questions. So again, pause me and then press play when you're ready to go through it. Pause. Play. Okay, so of course, you know, we're looking at Amazonian tribe in Brazil being made to leave their homes because of globalization. But vice versa, positive, no, because now we know about it and we can maybe help them because we are understanding what's going on. So question 1 was, what effects has globalization had on tribes such as the Awa? So globalization has increased transnational corporations. This has led to increase in demand for land and timber, which has led to the destruction of habitats in the Amazon rainforest. Boo. The Awa tribe is just one of the tribes. You know, the Amazon is absolutely huge. Loads of different tribes in there, but one of them, being the Awa tribe, are in danger of losing their home and way of life to the West, to these transnational corporations. So this is really, really negative. Yeah, terrible. I went to Indonesia to see wild orangutans in the Sumatra rainforest. And again, you know, the deforestation there, killing thousands of orangutans. Oh my God, it was heartbreaking. So I went to like this national trust, which were put together. You know, the land was protected. But, you know, but how sad that they can't just, you know, go about their merry lives in their natural habitat instead of just being greedy and taking away their homes and killing these poor animals. And in this case of this tribe, you know, we're talking about people. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox now. Okay, question number 2. How might digital communication be used to protect the rights of these people? So Survival International have included a link here. Really, really good website, really good organisation. Guys, you might want to go work for somebody like this, you know, these companies. This is what your course in sociology can lead you into. If you're really interested in, you know, some humanitarian work, go for it. So yes, digital forms of communication can be used to highlight issues and spread awareness, raising funds, and so therefore it's a positive globalisation. Wicked. Okay, so hopefully we've kind of delved into lots of different definitions of globalisation and what it actually entails, and looking already at some of the negatives and positives. So let's recap our learning objectives. Hopefully, we are well on our way. We've considered various definitions and we have looked at positives and negatives, okay? Now, if we look at our success criteria here, we're now going to look at a global village. Now, hopefully you guys are going to remember that term, global village, and I'm really hoping you're going, yes, and I know the man. Tell me who the man is. Yay, Marshall McLuhan, well done. I knew you knew it. So, Marshall McLuhan, Global Village. Of course, we've got to talk about Marshall McLuhan if we're looking at digital forms of communication. He is the man that started these kind of conversations, these concepts around how communication will change society, the world as we know it. When I was at university, I studied media, culture and society as a degree, and he was like the guru of the course. So if you're interested, guys, these are his 2 books. We've written loads of books, but these are the 2 main ones for Global Village and understanding it. Yes, you've got the Gutenberg Galaxy, The Making of Typographic Man, published in 1962. I won't lie to you, I did quickly go on eBay to see if I can get a copy. They're very expensive, about 30 quid. I normally get my books secondhand. I don't like Kindles. I'm an analog girl. I like a book in my hand. And normally I do get them second hand because I do want to save the trees at the same time. That's why I don't really tend to buy them brand new. But yes, already 30 quid second hand. And then Understanding Media, really, really good text to own if you want to continue your journey in sociology. So guys, let's crack on with Global Village. So McLuhan's concept is based on the idea that culture would move toward greater personal interaction, focused on the spoken and written word, made possible by technological advancement. Now, guys, he was writing in the 60s, internet, the 80s. Yeah, he was way, way, way ahead of his time. He could see really it was the birth of the television that really sparked these thoughts for him. So he believed the world was entering a 4th age, he called the electronic age, where people everywhere would be able to find and experience the same information through technological tools. Like he could see into the future, right? His studies on trends in technology and how human communication was affected helped him develop his hypothesis about the future and how innovations such as the coming internet, because as I said, he didn't yet know its name, of course, but he knew it was going to happen, would impact individuals and culture as a whole. Sorry, I just thought, if only he knew about all the emojis that we have and all the, oh my God, the TikToks. Don't get me started on TikTok. I feel like such an old person because I'm so repelled by TikTok. Apologies if you have a TikTok account. Many of my friends have TikTok accounts, but I don't know. I'm an Instagrammer. I'm a Facebooker. And I don't get on with Twitter. But yeah, the way that us human beings, we're still exploring and we're creating and we're in this process, really exciting period of time that Marshall McLuhan was predicted in the 60s. So the global village essentially is, of course, the compression of time and space through communication of the word. And really the 3 big examples of how digital forms of communication have created this global village. We could say, number 1, technology is making the world seem smaller. As I said, I'm loving all my documentaries at the moment. Oh, the new Marigold Hotel on BBC 2. What, BBC 2, BBC 1, don't know. Watch it. Loads of OAPs going to India. I love it. Number 2, we know more about what is going on in other parts of the world. Sorry, there's a typo there. Much more quickly. And that's why I was talking about George Floyd. And number 3, trade and transportation has become much easier and more efficient. Now, I have included 2 YouTube links here, guys, for you to watch. These are interviews held by Marshall McLuhan talking about his books, his concepts. He was very quite a revolutionary at the time. So yeah, absolutely tragic. May he rest in power and rest in peace. It's absolutely disgusting. And this is just one of the demonstrations, the social demonstrations in the USA. And then this is one in the UK. You know, so before digital forms of communication, we wouldn't have known about this, would we? We would have no idea at all. You know, and the amount of videos online. My other half showed me a video today on Twitter, and it was a compilation of, you know, people in the streets in these protests videoing how the police are treating these protesters, and you know they're pushing them, they're shoving, and you know it's just going to spark more conflict, more outcry, and more kind of social disturbance. God, imagine what a functionalist is thinking of all of this right now. You know, the sense of enemy. What would a Marxist be thinking about this right now? What would a black feminist be thinking about this right now? You know, it's just, you know, have your sociology hat still on, guys, because we're experiencing the world. You know, everything that we encounter is sociology, and you can use it. So please do. Okay, so let's revisit this. Learn objectives. I know what a global village is. Hopefully we're feeling green. Okay, so next up, we're now going to look at positives and negatives about defining it. So you've done that activity, so I'm going to zoom past this. Okay, so the two main things, guys, if we're now looking at our last learning objective, is the fact that globalisation is really, really tricky to define, and we still have really not got one single definition. And the next thing, because of this definition problem, we then don't really understand whether or not it's a good or a bad thing. So then it's open to interpretation, which is what you need to communicate in your essays. So what I want you to do is, this is your evaluation statement. Globalisation is damaging for society. And how you're going to tackle this, if you turn to page 4 in the textbook, you will see this really nice summary box of the 4. I've got 5 key problems here, and then you've got some development and some explanation on the other side. Read these, add them to your notes for the agree part of this argument that globalisation is damaging for society. And then on the other side of the argument, I want it to come from you. So from you, think of arguments to counteract this point. For example, when we discussed the Awa tribe in the Amazon rainforest, we said, okay, globalisation is bad for them because, of course, you know, it's led to transnational corporations wanting the land. On the other hand, it's then good because then we're raising awareness of these people and the way that they're living their lives, and therefore, you know, promoting respect and diversity. And unfortunately, we have to help these people. So crack on, spend 10 minutes, pause me, and then play me when you're ready. Hello, back again. So the big problems, the 5 big problems. Number 1, because of this kind of uncertain definition of globalisation, we assume it's quite positive, but in reality, it does lead to marginalised groups, such as the uncontacted tribes, such as, you know, loads of places, you know, really quite desolate places in Africa, even in Asia, even in the UK. I mean, especially, you know, during this lockdown stuff, you know, I think the government has just been like, yeah, okay, kids, students, you're going to be okay because we'll do remote learning via your laptops. But some families don't have laptops. Some families don't have mobile phones. Some families can't afford to pay, you know, for the internet and for data in the UK. So, you know, we need to consider these poorer countries. But what about our own country? We've got, you know, really, really significant amounts of poverty. And we've had lots of schools having to buy laptops for their pupils. You know, we haven't been given any extra funding for this. So, okay, so number 1. So how can we actually counter argue that? What could be the positive about that? Positive could actually be the internet lifts these marginalised groups when they do eventually get access to it. So, you know, I come from working class roots, and if it wasn't for Google, I probably would not have had the opportunities to learn as much as I did. If I didn't have film, I was obsessed with American films of, you know, people going to university. If I didn't have that, maybe my aspirations, I wouldn't have wanted to go to university as well. So that could then be your counter argument, perhaps. And it's not right, it's not wrong, you know, whatever you guys got, I'm sure that's great as well. Okay, number 2, assumes globalisation occurs everywhere at an even pace, but we know that's wrong because poorer countries are left behind, and even within our own country, poorer families are left behind. How can we counter-argue that? Well, you could perhaps say, you know, we're only looking from the 1980s until now. You know, it's been only been 40 years. That is quite a short amount of time. Maybe in 100 years' time, we will definitely see more people, families, and societies become connected through globalisation, and therefore in 500 years' time, we might look back and go, actually, yeah, no, it did happen quite at an even pace. It's only now, because we're in the early stages, it doesn't feel like it. So, you know, kind of questioning the subjectivity of understanding what time is. That sounds quite deep, doesn't it? I like it. Number 3, it assumes that globalisation assumes cultural homogenisation, but in reality, it can lead to defending your culture. So you are going to do a lesson on kind of cultural defence. We're going to be looking at extremist groups such as ISIS, looking at neo-Nazis, looking at these people or groups of people that do not want to be interconnected with others. They want to remain quite separated, you know, with their own little bubble. How can we counter-argue that? Well, no, on the other hand, you've got lots of people who encourage and who promote cultural homogenisation, you know, the coming together, the sameness. And you could also argue cultural homogenisation, which means, you know, society and the world is becoming the same. Well, not really, because we're not becoming the same, but we're just adapting new ways of working and new ways of living, especially through, you know, religion. I'm sure everyone's nan has got a Buddha in their garden. You know, Shirley or Susan lived in London, now is, you know, a Tibetan monk in their garden. So that's not sameness, is it? That's a celebration of diversity. Okay, number 4, assumes globalisation is only an economic, political or cultural process, ignoring social life. Well, no, we could actually counter-argue that with the dude, was it Kennedy and Danks? I can't remember now, who actually looked at the social life aspect of it all. And especially, you know, with mental health, as I said, you know, you can use mental health as an example to say, well, no, yeah, okay, it's very economic and political, but we're now understanding how it impacts people, you know, there's been a rise in the amount of mental health stuff, especially during lockdown and the pandemic. Now that is social life, so it's not ignoring it. Number 5, assumes it all results in social change towards postmodern characteristics such as individualism and choice, and a rise in extremist groups. Again, not really. You counter-argue that we're not all becoming individualised, but in fact we're all coming the same. Now, I dislike this woman, but her name is Katie Hopkins. I don't know if you know her. She is very, very passionate about sharing her beliefs, because she says there is a danger, because of social media, we're all now thinking the same things, and therefore, you know, we're all horrified by the same things. We all laugh at the same things. You know, we're all kind of creating this global value system, which she says is actually really, really dangerous, and why now we're all offended because now we can't be an individual. She's a very controversial figure. Recently been in the press for saying that teachers are all lazy. So of course, as a teacher, I need to be a bit wary of her viewpoints. But she would be perhaps a good person to speak about, because that is, you know, her viewpoint. Okay, wicked. Now that is the aim. So prove your learning. I can define the term globalisation. So what I want you to do now, using two of the following, define globalisation and explain what is different in their definitions. So using two of those, go for it. Question number two, I know what global village is. What I want you to do is describe McLuhan's study on the idea of a global village and give 3 examples of why he claimed the world is becoming a global village. Number 3, I can explain a range of reasons why definitions of globalisation are problematic. So describe at least 3. You do need all 5, guys, for the A grade, but at least do 3 why they're problematic. You know, just short summary bullet points just to prove your learning. And finally, guys, we'd like you to write a short paragraph on what is the relationship between globalisation and digital forms of communication. So this is what, keeping an eye on the exam. If, guys, you want to do some exam practice, this is now your stretch and challenge. Question 1, you can say, with reference to the source, explain the concept of globalisation. You don't have a source. Can I find you a source? Source. Okay, use page 3. And use the 3 shapes as your source for question 1. Question 2, with reference to the source, to what extent it's problematic? Is it problematic to define globalisation? For that one, guys, you can use the same shapes on page 3. And in question 3, evaluate and assess, analyse the view that globalisation is beneficial. Yeah, so that's basically what we did here on this task. If you've already done this task, to be fair, guys, you know, don't worry about question 3 because you've basically done it. But just so that you kind of get an understanding of what the exam paper could look like. Okay, so that is the end, and I'm knackered now. So the 2 key learning objectives: you need to consider various definitions of globalisation and to consider the challenges involved with defining the concept. Have you done that? And the kind of 3 building blocks to achieving those milestones are those 3. Now, as I said, if you're red on anything, drop me an email. I will do my best to help you. Lovely. Right, okay, let me go back to here, stop presenting, and I'm back in the room. Lovely. Well, thank you so much for our lesson today. I don't know how long this has been, but my throat really hurts, so I think it's quite long. These are, you know, because we're going to go into the theory, these are going to be quite heavy, but we'll see how we go. Guys, if this is obviously meant to be for 1 hour, if this is going to take you more than 1 hour, let me know. And I'll make this the first lesson into Tuesday as well. But I need your communication, otherwise I don't know. And I'll just set you loads of work, and then you'll be like, oh, Miss Marvel sent me too much work. You know, you need to tell me because I don't know. Lovely. So let me know how you crack on. I'm going to stop recording, and hopefully we'll see you soon.